Pre-qualification. What is it and why is it so important? If we haven't met yet, I'm Melanie VanBuskirk, a local real estate agent here in Northwest Louisiana. And at the end of every home video tour that I do, I mention the fact that in order to view that home or any home in person, you need to have a pre-qualification or a pre-qualification letter from a lender if you're going to be using a mortgage. So this video is going to talk about what that means and why it's so important. I'm going to be answering these 5 common questions. What does being pre-qualified mean? Why do I need to get pre-qualified? What do they look for during the pre-qualification process? Can my loan be denied after pre-qualification? What should I avoid doing after I get pre-qualified? What does being pre-qualified mean? Pre-qualification means that you have talked to a lender and given them some information about your debt, income, and assets, and they have determined your budget or your price range for shopping for a home, and they've determined, based on the information that you provide to them, that you would most likely be approved for a loan. This is not an actual approval, but it's if these facts all line up and everything checks out, you would likely be approved for your mortgage. Why do I need to get pre-qualified? This gives the seller and their agent the confidence in knowing that you're an actual potential buyer that is not only ready, willing, but able and qualified to move forward with a sale. Getting pre-qualified is really one of the very first steps in the home buying process. The very first step is going to be finding your real estate agent. Once you have your real estate agent, they're going to be the ones who can give you lender recommendations. If you need them, you can always choose any lender that you'd like. Getting pre-qualified for a loan is really one of the very first steps in the home buying process. You can start out by just looking on the internet and looking at houses that way, but the minute that you've taken that serious step and you want to start seeing homes in person, you're going to need to have that pre-qualification from a lender. You really do want to start off, even if you're just looking online, getting that pre-qualification, because that's going to give you your price range. That's going to tell you what homes you should even be looking at. They're going to give you the budget of how much a lender will lend you. What do they look for during the pre-qualification process? A pre-qualification is just going to be an informal evaluation of your credit worthiness, your income and assets. You're going to tell them how much money you have in the bank, how long you've been employed and with who. You're going to give them your social security number and they're going to run your credit. If you'd like some more in-depth information about what credit score you need for a pre-qualification, and that's based on different loan types, check out this video in the right-hand corner. They're going to take all that information that you've provided to them, so you want to be very accurate. Don't guess. Don't say, well, I make about $50,000 a year. If you make $48,933 a year, that's what you need to tell them. So definitely don't guesstimate. Make sure everything that you're telling them is very accurate, because they're basing this pre-qualification on just what you're telling them. They're not verifying it at this step. Later, they will verify it in order to get your full approval. That's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval or an approval. Sometimes people interchange these things, but they are not the same thing. A pre-qualification is just you providing them information, telling them about yourself, and they run your credit. In most cases, most lenders are going to do that. A pre-approval or an approval is where they actually verify information. They're going to ask for bank statements, W-2s, 1099s, tax returns. They're going to be verifying all the information that you provided, and it'll go into a process called underwriting, where all of the information they've required from you, they've piled it up, gathered it, and they're sending it to another department where it's going to be looked over with a fine-tooth comb, and then you're going to get that stamp of approval. Most lenders do the approval process once you have a contract on a home, but some of them will do pre-approvals so that you can go in writing an offer with a pre-approval instead of a pre-qualification. that means you are actually already approved for that loan, and that's a very strong position to be in when making an offer. In general, pre-qualification is the norm and will suffice. Can my loan be denied after pre-qualification? It sometimes does happen if information that you provide in your pre-qualification process turns out to be not as accurate as you thought it was, or if something changes from the time when you were pre-qualified till the final approval process, like a change in income, a loss of a job, a new derogatory showing up in a credit history. So it does happen sometimes where someone will be pre-qualified, but then when it comes right down to the final days, their approval is not granted. This is not a situation that you want to be in, which is why I really stress that you give as accurate of information as you can up front at the time that you're getting pre-qualified. Don't say you have X amount of dollars in your bank if you don't have that amount of money. And of course, don't say you make a certain amount of money if you don't make that amount of money, because they will verify it. They're not going to just verify it once. They're not just going to check your credit once. They're going to check your credit at the beginning of the process. Then they're going to check your credit and everything else, including your bank statements, right before the closing. And I mean right before the closing, like maybe the day before. And part of the approval process is going to be asking for bank statements from your bank accounts back 60 days. What should I avoid doing after I get pre-qualified? This section is extremely important, and you might want to write this down so you don't forget. Number 1, don't apply for new loans, a new credit of any sort, and don't allow anyone other than your lender to check your credit. Number 2, continue to pay your bills on time as you have been, and don't miss any payments. Number 3, don't make any large purchases. You really just want to avoid large purchases during this time between pre-qualification and closing on your home. Wait till the day after closing and go shopping, go crazy, do whatever you want. But it's a really good idea to wait. Number 4, don't change your job. Even if you think that it's not a problem because it's a promotion or you'll be making more money, just make sure that you talk to your lender about it beforehand to see how it's going to impact you. Number 5, don't make any large deposits into your bank account that can't be traced and explained. Number 6, don't spend the money that you said was in your account that's supposed to be sitting there for closing costs, down payment, and reserves. Reserves are, most lenders are going to require at least 2 months worth of whatever your house payment is estimated to be sitting in your bank account at the time of closing. And right before the closing, they're going to verify how much money you have in your account. And it needs to match up with how much money you need to be sitting there. Because your approval is partly based on the money that you have available to you. Number 7, and this might seem like a silly one, but it is not. Don't pay off any debts or close any accounts unless your lender specifically asks you to do that. If you have any more questions about getting pre-qualified, or you'd like to get pre-qualified because you're ready to start shopping for homes in person and you want a lender recommendation, just ask and I'm happy to provide that to you. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you enjoyed this video, I think you'd like this next video. So click on that and I'll see you over there.